It is 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, we'll call this meeting to order and stand for the pledge, if you please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Yeah, he won't be called.
Okay, amendments to the agenda.
Yes, sir, I have one. I'd like to add Aldridge and Elliott, Jason and Jeff from that company are here to talk about the water line improvement project.
And that's under,
Could we put them up after amendments to the agenda, if that's
Yeah,
okay?
just to get you guys on the way back, yeah. It doesn't.
For the water improvement project.
Yes, water line improvement.
And I have
executive
one.
session.
I have one for legal communications and executive session. That will be for the. And if we could have a motion for those two, that would be great.
Move to amend the agenda for the two items previously referenced.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Hey, guess what? Alderson Elliott is up.
Thank you. So, my name is Jason Booth with Aldrich and Elliott. For those of you who I don't think I've ever met you before. This is Jeff Lewis with Aldrich and Elliott.
Jason Capel.
I'm sorry?
Jason Capel.
Pleasure.
This is nice to meet you. So we are moving into the third phase, what we call step 3, which is the construction phase for the water line project we've been working on, which incorporates Washington up by the Maple Fields area, water line up there, and then at the intersection with Main and Prospect, which connects to the 12-inch line that feeds the south tank. So this third phase is moving into construction, like I said. What we have tonight for discussion are two items. One is a step 3 loan application, which Joe has, which is required to be approved and signed by the board. And what this does is this allows the state to allocate the remainder of the money for the project that you bonded for last spring. And so the state doesn't let you do it all at once. You have to do it in sort of phases. So there's a preliminary phase, then there's a final design phase, and then there's the construction phase. And we're in that third phase now. So the loan application is for the full amount of what the project is, which is also what you bonded for at $1.2 million. And that includes all expected construction costs, engineering costs, legal fees for easements, permit fees, etc. So that's the first piece. And then the second piece is a step 3 engineering services agreement. And this is for administration during the project. Some of you might be familiar with the upgrade we just did down at the wastewater plant. Through the funding source, they require the engineer to be present and available during that activity when they're on-site construction. And so that's what this step 3 engineering services agreement is for. It includes bid phase services, which is advertisement for bid, fielding questions with contractors during the bid phase, opening of bids, and preparing a recommendation to award to you folks for approval for the low bidder. And then during construction, it includes monthly meetings, weekly on-site meetings with the contractor. It includes all the procurement requirements, which is Davis-Bacon requirements, which are required by the funding, Build America, Buy America, which is similar to American Iron and Steel requirements through the funding source. So there's a number of procurement elements that we have to track related to the project. And then it includes a person on site while active construction is underway. Similar to the wastewater treatment plant and other projects, there will be an individual here with the contractor that's able to kind of address contractor issues, but also town issues, and work with the town staff throughout the project. So those are the two items that we have for tonight. Any questions on those items that you have?
I think maybe just a quick explanation of what the loan,
Sure.
how that works and how it works against the bond.
Sure. Yep, so the loan, so this step, at this point in step 3, you're requesting the full amount of the project. The estimated total project cost at this point, prior to opening bids, is 1.2 million, and that's the amount that you bonded for, that the town bonded for in spring, and that bond vote passed for that amount. What happens now is, with the approval of the bond, you're allowed to borrow this money through the state revolving loan fund, the drinking water revolving loan fund. It's a low interest loan. Are we 30 or 40 years on this one? Do you recall?
I think
40 is what we applied for.
30 is what we applied for.
30 is what we applied for. So it's a low interest loan over 30 years that the town pays back for this 1.2 million that you're borrowing through this state fund. It's a pretty simple process. We put the application in, state approves it, they administer the money through the bond bank. Your payments won't start until 1 year after construction is complete. So if construction ends in October of 2024, then your first payment won't be until October of 2025. That's at the end of the 1 year warranty period. That's kind of the process.
How long, when do we expect completion for this project?
So that's why we're trying to get this out to bid early. We're expecting to get this project out, assuming everything goes forward here, we're expecting to get this project out to bid in mid-December. So we'd be advertising for bids mid-December, opening bids early January. And the driver for that is giving the contractor the ability to order the materials and have those materials in place so that they can start as soon as weather breaks in the spring. We're still seeing some long lead times on materials, particularly ductile iron pipe can still be difficult to get. Lead times are still challenging. So we're trying to give the contractor, set the contractor with enough time to absorb those lead times through the winter and be able to start in the spring. Not a super long duration project. We're expecting 120 calendar days, so about 4 months on construction. And that sets us up, so if let's say we start in April, we likely could be done before September, or in the September timeframe. And that's the expectation, to take advantage of the construction duration, the summer construction duration. So that would mean that you would have a year from that point until substantial, the end of the 1 year warranty period.
And then also, overall sequencing in your town's plan, you guys are also planning on having paving done the following year, so you should be done with this project prior to that happening. So that you're not ripping the road up a second time to do this.
That was the real driver for this project, was to get this in the ground before V-Trans comes through and paves the roadway. So, and that's still on for 25 as far as we know.
As far as we
Last we've heard.
The last we've heard from V-Trans. Who knows with V-Trans?
The project's a lot softer than what you would think.
It's fluid.
That's what, yeah. So the reason I ask is I'm trying to project out when we need that first bond payment, but it won't be this budget. It'll be, so I'll be able to go to vote again in March, the March budget, and then July will come, and then we'll have that payment start then.
Yes.
So we still have, not the budget season I'm in, but the next one to take care of it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking, yeah.
Other questions?
Bob, do we have to bring a motion to approve the loan, to approve the application? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
That would be the first one. Yeah.
I do, actually.
Okay, thank God.
I printed out, there's 2 spaces there, Joe. If when authorized, you'll have to sign.
Are we authorizing Joe to be the signator on this?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be part of the motion.
So the engineering services agreement, yes, the loan application has to be signed by the board,
Okay.
and Joe and the clerk.
Okay.
Yeah. But the engineering services agreement can be signed by whoever you choose. Typically, it's the authorized rep, which.
Yep.
And then typically you'll designate Joe as an authorized project representative for the duration of the project.
All right. Move that we authorize the completion loan application.
Second.
And we all get to sign that, yep. Okay, is there any other questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
next one is the
The
engineering?
engineering, yeah.
Okay, and I guess I will move that we approve the engineering services contract
With Joe as the.
with Joe as the signatory.
Second.
Second. Everybody understand what we're doing there? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? You're good to go. Is that just your signature?
Yeah, this one's mine.
Joe, you can scan that, just that signature page and send it to me
Awesome.
whenever you are ready with it. And I'll submit it through the portal, the state portal.
The other update on this project, we did put in for a permit to construct this, and it is on the environmental news bulletin. It was put up yesterday. If anybody from the public reaches out wondering what the new Fairhaven project is, that's this project. It's available for public comment, I think, for the next 30 days, starting yesterday.
Just one recap, it's the Washington Street and then downtown is pretty much the,
Those are the two areas that we're
Two
looking
areas,
at.
yeah. So again, the McDonald's area up there, short section of water line, interconnection and replacement, and then Prospect from, Main and Prospect from River Street down across the bridge, and then up to the Adams Street Bridge on Prospect, tying into the 12-inch line. Yep, that comes across the bridge.
I'm sorry to keep you. How did the borings go up on Washington? Because we're gonna do directional boring underneath.
How do they go?
Well, how did it go? Is the,
So
the
we
there's
did ledge
the
probes on the side, and we did not run into ledge in that area. That was of any concern.
okay.
There was an area near South Prospect where we ran into some ledge, but it was at 5 feet, which is low enough where we can work around it. There's no ledge concerns necessarily at this time.
Thanks.
yes.
I'm just wondering on the part up by Prospect Street. So you're putting new pipe in under the Main Street Bridge?
It'll be affixed to the side of the bridge. Correct.
But the Main Street, because right
No.
now,
If
my
I have the
understanding,
wrong name of the bridge, I apologize.
Yeah, it's,
my understanding is the
It-
Adams Street Bridge
Yeah.
is where all the,
That's
so now
That-
we're
that-
going to have two pipes
No.
going?
There
no,
are,
it's all going to Adams, I think, right?
well, there are two pipes currently. So there's a pipe that comes across
okay.
that bridge now. and
The
it's-
Main Street Bridge?
That's right, and it's a 6-inch line. And there's a 12-inch line that goes across the Adams Street Bridge.
Adams Street, okay.
Yes. So what's happening is, we're increasing the line on Main Street over to Prospect to a 12-inch line. And so that provides, is it 12 or 10?
It's an 8-inch line.
8-inch, sorry. So that provides greater redundancy for the water line that comes from the South Street, or sorry, the south end tank. That goes, kind of loops around and comes down Prospect and then goes across the Adams Street Bridge. So this provides redundancy. So if something happens to that Adams Street Bridge, or if, hallelujah, someday that bridge gets replaced by V-Trans or whatever, that water line has to be taken out of service. So you wouldn't have a strong enough redundant loop to feed the town from the south tank on
Okay.
that small diameter line. So we're increasing that water line and providing a stronger loop for added redundancy if you ever have to take that or lose that 12-inch line.
For when, God willing, they replace the bridge. But
Yes.
will they also replace the water line?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that will, when
Okay.
when the bridge gets replaced, that water line has to go back. That's your strongest loop, your strongest connection between the water plant through town to the south tank,
Okay.
and then from the south tank back into town.
Now, how will this improve the water pressure up on South Side?
It doesn't change the water pressure.
Okay.
But it will help you for
I-
taking that water line out of service. You'll actually be able to get water across town.
You had me at, when, you know, if something happens here, we still have water.
Yeah, so it would now too, but the problem is, the way that your system operates is, you operate off the main plant during the day,
Right.
and you operate off the south tank at night.
Yeah.
So you're drawing and filling at different points in time. And if you lose that 12-inch line, you're relying on filling and drawing off the south tank off a 6-inch line, which is too small of a diameter. So you don't have good feed and good redundancy there.
So the 6-inch line is what's coming from the south tank, and then you
It's
said loops around, or is that 6-inch line the one that comes from Inman Pond and fills?
No, so the 6-inch line tees off of the intersection with where the 12-inch line goes over the Adams Street Bridge and comes
Okay.
out to Main Street and then across the bridge and up to the intersection with Marble and River Liberty, that area there,
Okay.
comes up and ties into that area
Okay,
currently. So the intent is to replace that 6 with a larger diameter line.
okay,
And that provides a stronger interconnection between larger diameter pipes you have further up in the system and interconnects with the 12-inch line, which is the main feed to the south tank
Okay.
across Adams Street Bridge.
okay.
Hard
Thank
to
you very
explain.
much.
but
I'm
if you
sorry.
do- When you look on a map, it might be easier to kind of show you, but.
Well, like I said, I live up there, so
Yep,
it's making sense to me.
yeah.
Sorry for the delay, guys.
Sure.
Oh, no, no problem.
That's it.
Thank you very much
Anything
for
else?
coming.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thanks for getting us on the agenda.
Not a
Really
problem.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yep, shovels and ropes, the next one for me.
Yes.
I'm going to that one.
Where's that one?
That's it.
Is it a higher ground?
Yeah,
I'll have to look out.
March
for that.
29th.
Nice. Take care.
See you
Have a
later.
good night.
Thanks
Yeah.
again.
I ran into him in a concert Friday night.
Oh, nice, nice.
Lucas Nelson. I don't know if you,
Is that country or?
not really, not really. He can blast it, he can rock, but he's got a country father.
Where is it?
It was in Burlington.
I'm a little out of sorts with that because I mean, like today I was in my office listening to Mozart, so that's basically my tastes go back a few hundred years.
I actually like that too.
Mozart's good.
You know what?
Especially the Requiem when you turn it up, it blots everything out.
Beethoven. I'm sorry.
It's good too.
You know what Duke Ellington said?
Bet.
If it sounds good, it is good. Okay, let's move on here. Approval of minutes of November 14th.
Motion to approve the minutes from November 14th meeting as written.
Okay, additions, deletions, corrections, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. 5 minutes for public comment.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay, so I talked with Joe last week about this, and we were trying to figure out some way to work on the crosswalks being cleaned during the winter. Last year, I re-injured my bad ankle because the crosswalk between the bus stop and Cloud 9 corner hadn't been cleaned off and it froze. And I was trying to climb over that, and it was a good foot and a half. I was trying to climb over that and I re-injured my ankle. Last week, same thing is happening. Now, I do realize that the merchants are responsible for in front of their stores. But honestly, the town's responsible for their crosswalks. Something has to be done. So I'm mentioning it.
Are we talking about crosswalks in the road or the entries from the
Well,
sidewalks?
crosswalks in the roads needs to be cleaned
Oh, I didn't know
too.
what you meant was not clean, the road or the entries into?
The edge
Okay.
over there by Cloud 9 is usually where we have the biggest problem
Yeah,
in that area.
that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand, you know, the guys are plowing, they come around the corner and everything gets left there. But we are being asked to park across the street, so we need to be able to use the crosswalk. it needs to be clean. Joe had, am I okay to say what your suggestion was?
Whatever you love.
Well, he was thinking maybe, you guys have that little tiny, the little sidewalk snowplow?
A Bobcat?
I
Is
guess
that
that's
it?
what it's called, whatever.
Was it?
It's,
There's a special machine just,
Oh,
it's just a sidewalk machine.
I don't know what the name of it is, but anyway, when they're doing the sidewalks, if maybe they could just swing out and around and grab that lump that's left at the end, but I'm just bringing it to your guys' attention. If anybody has a better idea, awesome, but it needs to be addressed. Thank you very
I would
much.
think that in the school, in front of the schools too, just to be on the safe side, so. You know, if you, it's in the same general area, but I don't know. I don't know if they're having the same problem there because they have that bump out, so that may help, but, okay,
Thank you.
yeah. Anybody else? Department head reports. Chief?
I put a report in your box. We had 7 arrests in the last 2 weeks. 2 for petty larceny, 1 for domestic assault, a driving license suspended, a wanted person, incapacitated person, and a DUI, which was a high VAC. We wrote 113 traffic tickets in the last 2 weeks, 27 written warnings, 1 parking violation, and we responded to 3 car crashes. We only did 7 civilian fingerprints in the last 2 weeks, and then I did a breakdown of the highlights, just a couple pages this time. We had 226 calls in the last 2 weeks. That includes traffic. One thing of note, we were awarded a grant for body cameras. We applied for it. That's going to pay for cameras and a large server. The biggest problem with cameras is they produce a lot of video, but they authorize us to buy a server. So I put in for like a $5,000 server, a large, just dedicated for video and photos. That grant has not come in yet. It's going to be emailed to Joe for approval, or for the board, whoever wants to approve it, but somebody will have to sign off on that if you guys are okay with it. This is one of the cameras we've been demoing from the company. It's called Patrol Eyes. It produces a really good video. It doesn't have the cloud-based storage like Taser or Axon. That's the same company. It's more local in-house. We'll be able to access it. The state had $215,000 to go around to all the departments. And when I had gotten the quotes from Axon, they were talking between $30,000 and $60,000 for a 5-year plan. And then there was no reoccurring after that. Because you have to buy the storage space from them. So this will be basically, the server will be brand new. Hopefully it'll last a long time, probably past my career. And the cameras themselves, to replace them, they're only about $380 a piece. So this will outfit everybody that we have. We'll move to that. I have a couple videos that I thought was kind of, Castleton uses these, that's why I figured it'd be nice to, they'll be able to guide us, and they've been using them for years. I had one incident, I used the camera and it does infrared. So the camera was infrared, and as soon as I stepped around, it was 15 Main Street, as soon as I stepped around, the sunlight was there, and it switched instantly right back to color, like a normal photo. It has a really good picture. They have good ratings, so I'm hoping this will move us a little further. I thought it was a good idea after we had the use of force. I think that camera, we were fortunate there was a surveillance camera which escalated the local attorney to a clear our officer. I think this would further our transparency, and we'll be adopting VLCT's policy. It's a statewide body camera policy that everybody uses. We'll be
That's what I was
adopting
gonna
that
ask.
once we have them.
Okay. When do you expect to see him?
I don't know. They said they were working on it. They were looking who the signer would be, and I suggested to send it to Joe. So could be this week that we would get the grant, and once the grant's approved, the manufacturer's ready to provide them to us. The only thing would be the camera, or the server's going to take me a little longer to find out where we're gonna do that, and who to get that from. I identify the actual company that does that yet. It's kinda out of my realm.
Is there any commitment from us for them?
No, it's 100%.
It's even better.
Even some of the guys seem to be happy about it. I think it's just moving it back into, because you always get those, oh, the officer did this and they did that. Well, no, it's there. And I've been giving it to the people when they work. We have 2 of them, 2 different models. So the sergeant will hand his off and I'm handing mine off. Go out and do traffic with it, go out and talk to people. So I've been monitoring the cameras and it seems to be, and it's actually a good learning tool because, you know, a couple officers I played it back like, ooh, you know, I appeared to come off a little.
Mhm.
So it'll be a good learning tool for them, like, okay, maybe that wasn't the style that worked, and change some tactics and try to be a little, you know. So that's where we're headed, as long as you guys are good with the grant.
I think it's
That's
a
great.
wonderful idea.
Yep. This day and
No,
age,
no complaints from me.
yeah, this day and age, you want as
And I
much.
did not do the monthly revenue report, I'll try to do that once we finalize into November, maybe. Finalize November, just coming.
Well, I think you fingerprinted everybody in the state of Vermont, so
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of them.
you're probably running out of customers there.
We usually get a lot over breaks though, because that's some teachers will, they'll put in their notice that half, they'll take the winter break and then the replacements will come in, or they'll hire new substitutes that need. So like a break time and summertime is usually the heaviest, transitions of school year, so. I think that's all I got, I don't know if anybody had anything that I can think of.
Question?
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to say something. And that's a big surprise to you all, I know. But I really want to thank Bill and Joe. I've been coming, for a few months now. And I've known this about Bill for a very long time, though. He has been huge in getting grants for our police department, huge. And Joe's been doing well in getting grants and other things. Because the town, obviously, we can't afford to do what we need anymore. And it's just really awesome that they put this time in. So I just wanted to credit where credit's due.
Thank you. Your turn.
My turn. So I didn't get a DPW update. Nate's been on vacation, so I'm sorry for that. I think I sent the board an email about the water line though. That was the big DPW thing of the week. The guys did dig that yesterday morning, got that all repaired it and got it all buttoned up. That road's gonna still be a little chewed up until they're gonna put some cold patch down, but it's gonna be a little chewed up until spring or summer, until we can get some hot mix on it.
Where's that?
Third Street. Yeah, I was walking out from Saturday and then somebody stopped me and said, "You know about the water leak?" I did not. Also DPW though, so we're paying our last loader payment in December. So that's $20,000. It's coming, I've already taken it out of the budget. We don't need to make that payment anymore. So you'll see that. I think I put that in the packet. We did a walkthrough with, it's called the Arts Council. They gave us about $20,000 to help install the bathrooms upstairs. That grant is now closed. They'll be reimbursing us for those funds. They've done their final walkthrough. So that was.
Was that to build out the bathrooms or the ADA issue?
To build the bathrooms.
Okay.
To build the bathrooms that are.
Who was it?
This was the Vermont Arts Council. They're an umbrella that they do quite a few things.
Interesting.
Yeah. They did let me know that they have a grant coming up to install art in either the park or in the downtown for the downtown project. They said they do a lot of murals. It'd be nice if they had something that wasn't a mural. So they recommended we apply again. I reached out, I talked to the auditors mid last week, before the holiday. They have all the documents they need, so we're waiting for that report to come back. Water line we talked about. We had a great event on Saturday the 25th. The select board, all of the select board came and visited, or welcomed Santa to Fairhaven. And we had what, maybe 100 or maybe 100 kids there, 100 families.
At least that.
Yeah. So it was really nice. It was fun to see everybody. All right. There are some super sweet pictures. Jay Brown took some great pictures.
Are they going to be on the website?
I'll see what I can do. Probably Facebook though.
Down at the church.
Our new accountant started yesterday. Training starts tomorrow and Friday.
Who's this?
Darcy Van Noort. For the project downtown, the NEPA review is in. There was no adverse opinion, I guess is a way to say it. So that project can move forward. What they're waiting for now is me to do the right-of-way research, which is just, we're plugging along. I got about half of it done. And 5, this is something that's just kind of been lingering out there. I wanted to update the board. The town properties on 5 and 7 Union. I need to get those fuel tanks out of there still. The guy that was doing it for me, he didn't. He ended up not feeling well, so he couldn't finish it up. I'm looking to demo those properties in the spring now. Doing it in the middle of winter is just not feasible. So I'm probably gonna have to go back out and ask our contractors again for another quote, which is not a big deal. A little bit more. Open enrollment is wrapping up. All the paperwork got out to our staff. That's moving forward. For health insurance, that's wrapping up and moving forward. We know about zoning updates, cameras. I did meet with probate with administrator of the trailer park and the probate court. That process is moving forward. There'll be the administrator will be asking to close the park and sell the park. So that's slowly moving forward. It's a process that involves both the courts and the state and their regulations. Properties are with the real estate agent. I think I let the board know last time. I owe our real estate agent a little bit of paperwork, so I'll get that to her. And that's what I got for you.
Can I ask about the trailer park? What's the town's process when they get ready to sell? We have water, back taxes that is separate from the land. And how does that work, and what complication does that feed to the sale of the property?
Sure. So about half of the trailers in the park are owned by the estate.
Okay.
So there are some that aren't. So right now it's the town is the primary lien holder. We even take precedent over the IRS, according to the IRS. So any money that is received, barring what goes to the administrator for her, her fees, will come to the town. In terms of the privately owned trailers, I don't have a lot of experience with that, but I would imagine those trailers would either have to be taken off the lot or abandoned to the new owner. The town wouldn't have.
Well, that's what I'm worried about, is that we all of a sudden own a bunch of scrap metal.
Oh, we wouldn't own it.
You know.
We would have to tax sale it to own it.
Yeah, no. But, okay, so
I assume that the land would not be used as a trailer park again, assuming we get it sold.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
so they'd have to
They'd have to move it off.
demo that and get it. Okay, and there are programs for the residents that they can access,
Yep.
mostly state, there's nothing we have.
Mhm, we don't have anything.
And they're fully aware of this process.
Yeah, one young lady, she called me and said she's moving out. She let me know she found a home somewhere else, and she just said she wasn't gonna do it anymore. Good, so, good.
Questions for town manager?
How's our new operator, when he starts next week?
I gotta reach out to him. He's got the 1st, so Friday.
Friday.
That's what I'm proposing.
Joe, did you get a chance to check in on my question from the last meeting about our obligations if we got out of the downtown project?
Yes, I did talk to, I'm sorry, Jason, I didn't bring those numbers.
No,
I
that's
did-
fine.
I
That's
can
fine.
email them out. So I did
Yeah.
talk to the state,
Mhm.
and they said, yes, you had to operate under the assumption that if you don't go to construction, you will be paying that money back. And I wanna say it was 64,000 that we would end up having to pay back
Okay.
as of,
Right, as
of right now.
Yeah, okay.
But
Thank
that's only, I mean, it makes it sound scary, we gotta pay back $64,000. That's if you don't do the project. If you move forward with the project, you still have to put in
Right.
the match, but
Right.
yeah, you get your project done.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. I'll get you the exact number, I'm sorry I didn't.
Yeah,
bring
that's
it.
fine. Take it, as long as this is like approximately what it is. That's fine.
No business unless somebody's thinking of something else, I mean, that's good old business. New business, zoning ordinance update. We are at the point where, and I'm really sorry that Glenn isn't here because he's our attention to detail guy. If there's stuff out of place, he would know. There is one list of things that the zoning, the Rutland Regional Liaison gave us, this list here of things that are state mandated that we have to add. I think that rather than go through each one, unless you feel you want to do that, we could adopt the recommendation of the zoning administrator, and they will incorporate it in the draft. Joe seems to think that, I didn't get a chance, after you said that, I didn't get a chance to go through and see if they were incorporated in there, but I would be surprised if he did that before we called it, and made those terms official. But what all of these are, changed definitions, certain, like what a duplex is according to the state, what a multi-unit family is according to the state. Well, so that's section 105, it's definitions, coupled the tables, move the conditional use for duplexes. Table 2, dimensional requirements, which we did do, some of which, they must be equal to or lower than 87 for, I'll read the whole thing. Minimum lot size, minimum lot area per family unit must be set equal to or lower than 8,712 square feet for all districts if connected to water and sewer. These are state mandates, and they were missed or weren't available to the person that you, Ed Bove, who used to do it. So the new guy picked up on that, and the new guy, so he's real tight with his attention to detail. And it's been a help to have him around. But I think it would be simple to adopt make a motion someplace along the lines that said, adopt the recommended state mandates, if if everybody's comfortable with that.
And that's a list of them right here.
Yeah. And
I think I've seen that one already.
I don't think there's any way around it either.
no, they're state mandates,
Okay, then that's right.
they're state mandates and then.
This is the one we got last meeting.
Yes. And the rest of the draft, you guys should have had
Yeah.
plenty of time to look at, and if there's anything that really, what happens after we adopt this, we have one public hearing, which we will probably have, say, at 6 or 6:30 before a regular meeting. And it's hard to tell with zoning, whether there'll be a lot of people that will have to come to this or not, you know, so sometimes, you know, we might wanna make it a separate meeting. It could be either a quick meeting or it could be long and involved, but there isn't a lot of controversial changes, my opinion, but we are lowering lot size for businesses from 20,000 to 7 something. But, so that will help businesses who wanna get started and don't need a huge lot to get going. So if it's business, a lot of the mandated stuff is housing related. The state's got a big push for housing. One of the things that is probably the most controversial is you cannot use the term character of the neighborhood. So you can't say that some form like a low-income housing in the middle of a neighborhood, you can't do it because it would ruin the character, or would change the character of the neighborhood. You cannot use those terms. Because that's how people keep poor people out of their neighborhood. And so the state has made it very clear that that's not allowed anymore. And so it's not anything we can argue with, but it probably is the most controversial thing that we're adopting. Any reference to that is out. So, comments, questions?
Well, why don't I just make a motion then? We'll just go ahead and go ahead.
I mean, it doesn't impede them. I was just this out of my own curiosity. Can the board put something in zoning to say you can't build, there has to be a reasonable size home in a neighborhood? Like you can't build a McMansion, but you also can't build a 400 square foot home in a neighborhood that is of like a normal, like 1,500 square foot homes. You know what I mean? Is there a square footage limit? If you're saying you're trying to keep the character of the neighborhood, my understanding of this is whatever terminology you use that says you're changing the character of the neighborhood and you can't do that, is not allowed.
I would assume as long as whatever the building is, as long as it follows the setback requirements and everything else, I assume
Right.
it's going to be permissible.
Right. And
I think there's a maximum roof percentage that you can cover your land in. I didn't see any minimum.
no, there isn't. There isn't. And so you could do tiny home. Tiny home.
Yeah, tiny homes are kind of cool.
You know, so you could do that, and, you know, they don't want you living in a shed either, but, which we have.
I can't imagine anyone would want to build a tiny home on a large lot. It's
Right.
like probably the least efficient use of the land, so.
Yeah.
Although,
You never know.
all right, I'll make a motion that we adopt the recommendation, the state mandates, and incorporate them into our zoning ordinance.
And we adopt the ordinance as well.
And we adopt the ordinance as well.
Second?
You got that, Claire?
Yeah. You're in. You're adopting
zoning.
State mandates, right?
the state mandates only?
No,
No.
no.
And-
And incorporating them into the zoning ordinance, and we are also approving the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Everybody understand what we're doing? All those in favor?
I,
Those opposed? Thank you. Our next thing is to set a public hearing.
December, it's,
Yeah, oh, that's right, we already did that.
yes, it's been warned December 12th.
December 12th, okay. Good. It will be nice to have, I mean, we will immediately find something to change as a planning commission. That goes without saying, but we will react to that as it comes. Okay, thank you. Railroad Emergency Management Committee reappointment.
Rutland Regional. Rutland Regional.
Railroad, sorry, railroad. I'm thinking of something totally different, thanks.
I thought it was railroad too.
No,
I
I
was trying to
got
say
railroad
space.
in my mind for a different reason.
Yep, so this is the appointment of our voting members of the Rutland Regional Emergency Management Commission. Rutland Emergency Management Committee. Jim Heller and Bill Humphreys are on that committee. And we just need the chair to sign this.
Need a motion?
move that we reauthorize the appointment of the two current members of the Emergency Management Committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? This is a little hazy there, a little blurry.
Yeah, the printer came out funny, didn't it?
Yeah. Good, I'm glad it wasn't me. But you? Flashback, finally.
Jason, you wanna have their names in the minutes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Because you said current members,
right. It's, so it would be,
Jim and Bill.
Jim and Bill.
Jim
Jim Bill is, if you want to do it officially, the emergency management director is Jim Heller, and the emergency service voter is Bill Humphreys. Grant application approval letter.
Yes. So we talked about grabbing some supplemental funding for the projects we have going downtown. Our friends over at Rutland Regional have provided us with a grant writer, and he's going to apply to the TAP Transportation Alternative Program for additional funding for both of those projects. So we're requesting a supplemental funding of $398,420. This grant, we will have a match of about $99,000 with this grant, but overall it will reduce our grant match to these projects by about $300,000, because right now the town is funding the overages. Did that make sense? Was that clear?
About as clear as mud.
So it was $1 million project,
Yes.
right? And we got, we'll say $500,000 for the project. I'm just spitballing numbers.
Yeah.
So there was a gap of 500,000.
Yeah.
The town has fronted, and these are not the actual numbers, I'm just using this as an example. So Fairhaven had to supplement $500,000 into that.
Yeah.
Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna need a grant to take up a goodly portion of that 500.
Yep.
But we also have to match the grant that's coming in.
Okay.
At the end of the day, our match will be reduced.
Okay.
That's still confusing, I'm sorry.
I'm good with that explanation.
Okay. So this is a letter for the chair to sign if the board so wishes.
I would entertain a motion to allow the Rutland Regional grant writer to ask for this $398,420.
I'll motion down. I'll leave it to you.
Motion to approve the utilization of a grant writer to apply for the Transportation Alternative Program grant for the tune of $498,000, $498,026.
Is that right?
398, 420.
I saw numbers and
You
I
read
went
'em?
with it.
The total cost is $498.26. We're asking for.
So for the grant application, for the total, maybe it was a hard motion.
Transportation alternative grant.
Yes, for the tune of $398,420.
Oh, it's 3 now.
Yes, it changed in the matter of moments.
I had 3, and you said 4.
I
so now
did.
I'm going back to 3.
I didn't quite read everything around the number.
420, okay, got it. It's in here
Is there
anyway.
a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you for saving us $100,000 right off the top.
Oh, you're giving him credit. Oh, bro. Then I should have done it. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Great.
Great. That would be one, that's a campaign one right there. Thank you, guys. Let's see where that gets us.
Joe, do you have Glenn's packet for the budget review? Or hit that portion?
No, he came and grabbed his packet, but I can, if you need a copy, I can give you mine.
Well, you be able to follow along? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll pull it up on the, on the computer.
Okay.
It's a little budget time.
Thank you.
Are you gonna be on the screen? Okay. All right. So the first one is, Selectboard, page 1, top of the line there. Our salary is not our purview, so it stays where it is. Secretarial services,
One question about that,
Yeah.
Bob. What is the salary? It's 800 to each member, I believe.
700, is it 700?
700.
700.
And then, yeah, Bob
I
gets,
get-
Bob gets an extra 100.
You're gonna get the extra 100. It's big doings.
You won't spend it all in one place, but stretch it out.
Secretarial services. His actual was 36, so it's up 13. Stop me if I'm, there's some question, because I'm gonna keep going. Legal services. That's all I got.
Yeah. Joe, actually, I wanted to ask a question about that. The figure you have here, the actual for 2023 was 25,593.68, which seems a little out of kilter compared to previous years. Was there anything that caused us to incur those? Anything particular that caused to incur those fees, or?
we have a litigious resident.
Okay. Do you anticipate that we're going to be facing a similar amount of fees in the next budget? I mean, the next year?
I had 12,000 in there to give it a bump. Legal fees have gone up. The lawyers did raise their rates.
We tend to do that.
Well, inflation.
Because we can.
We're trying to use VLCT as much as we can. They do some legal work for free. I want to be optimistic, but I can't say that I am.
Right.
So I don't know if 10,000 will cover it.
Well, I mean, just from my personal knowledge of the issues that potentially face us with said litigious resident, I'm concerned that the 10,000 we may be underestimating it significantly.
Got a guesstimate?
From what I know, and again, I do not know everything, I'm thinking we're probably closer to 20 than we are 10. and that may not even cover it either. You know, actually, well, we can't really table this as much as I'd like to find out what our bills have been for the 25,593.68. That's all for all of this of 2023. Okay.
It's all of last fiscal year, yeah, fiscal year 23.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
You can, there's one bill in there, if you have, from the fire department thing, someplace in there, which wasn't horrific. So will you put 20,000 in and see if, when we get all done, if it isn't sticker shock and we have to come back to it, but it's,
I would suggest that we do that because again, I don't want to be caught, you know, with a big bill and no budget to pay for it. I think putting 20 is much more rational.
So we're gonna add 10.
yeah.
So Jason, this year so far, we've spent about 20% of the budget,
Mhm.
which is less than $2,000 of the legal fees.
Okay.
But again, we've been actively pulling back.
Right, but I suspect that there's some large bills coming up.
No doubt about it.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, so we're gonna add 10,000 to this.
Right.
Okay. Anything else there?
What's our advertising?
What is our advertising?
Yeah.
What do we use that for, you mean?
Yeah.
Like warnings for example, like the meeting we're gonna have on the 12th, or for the
In the paper.
annual hearing, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
the annual meeting.
Anything else?
Economic development. Is this the money that historically has gone to the EDC?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was hard, because I think economic development should be as important as your accounting department or your fire and police, but
I agree.
if you gotta make a cut, where do you make it?
Well, so I'd want to come back to this. I'd like to table this, and I think we follow up based on our conversations around recreation. If we're going to combine or look to combine something recreation and economic development, I think we need to take a look at both of those budget items a little bit separately than kind of considering this portion right now. Just
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you.
I was on the subject of the rec issues. I understand that the rec committee has been selling advertising or is trying to get sponsorships. Do we know how much has that been finalized? Do we know how much is coming in? Or
They're gonna be here next week, or
Okay.
2 weeks
that's
from now.
I'm just curious.
They've been on their own, and we don't know how that affects our budget.
Right,
And-
and I think as Joe said last time, with all of the money that's coming in for sponsorships and all that is going to have to go through the town. So I'm just curious as to what stage in this process we're in right now.
Yeah, so am I.
Right, so I mean, it's going to make a big difference for
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I think something should be in economic development, I really do. I mean, it's kind of important. You know,
Well,
move forward.
For lack, do you wanna just reinstitute the 5,000? This is the wish list right now. I mean, we'll come back when we see,
Okay.
a 30% increase in the budget. We'll probably have to come back and say.
Well, I agree. I agree. I mean,
So-
I think that there we should at least put back the 5,000.
Okay, let's do that for now. Thank you for your effort. But it's,
What was my budget target? 6% or 5%?
5% better.
We're doing great.
Yeah, okay, you can tell us that later. Okay, let's go to town manager. Town manager's salary is hooked in kind of there. It's up for the 3% or whatever it is. Is that, or you didn't take any, that's right. Okay. Dues and meetings is the same.
Do you think, Joe, that's going to be enough for this year? I know that you've.
For dues and meetings?
Yeah.
I don't go to a lot. If I overexpend, it'll only be by a couple $100. Yeah, I don't go to a ton. I hate to take money and not use it rather than overexpend by a little bit.
But I also, I don't want to see you like have to give up, important education, for that. So.
That would be helpful.
Oh, you know what I did do though? I won free trainings from VLCT when I was at their town fair. So I get like a year of free trainings. So there you go.
Take them. Take all the free you can get. All right, so we're gonna get off town manager and go to emergency management. You're up, James. Page 3, that is, folks. Any highlights that we're
Pretty
just saying?
straightforward. Fuel for the generator, rated tool, and service contract for the generator. It's pretty
And they come, they run, they do all that.
Yep.
Maintenance.
They do an annual, sort of load test on it, certification on the generator and
Okay.
fuel. Some years we use more than others, obviously. Something's coming in, we try to make sure it's filled before anticipated ice or wind or that.
Hmm. All right, chief? we're
No,
good?
that generator is at the school.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the one on the side there, the big guy. Police department. Highlights? Anything you wanna say or not say?
Try to keep everything where we've been. For years. Part-time, I did up that because we had to up the pay to be competitive with other agencies. We're still lower, but we're close to being competitive. And that number, again, is hard to, what we actually spent is hard to gauge because we've had some strange incidents that we've had to utilize them more on different details, and then we were out of guide for a little while. So that's the increase on the part-time line. And that's not increasing their use, just a matter of going from paying $18 an hour, which you could make at McDonald's, to the low 20s. Obviously, the full-time salary is contract stuff.
Right, the SRO.
SRO, I left that flat. That's kind of more of a placeholder. If you look at what we spent out of that line item, that does include doing road construction and wide loads and security details and Devil's Bowl and all those other things. That gets paid out of that line item, so the revenue side will more than offset that.
I'll hold you to that.
It should.
It does.
The last 2 years.
It does. Overtime is, well, it's down 1,000 from the ask. That's a guess too.
That's anticipated.
Yeah, that's really hard to tell what's going on. In a normal year, that's a really good number on a normal day-to-day operations, but the way the world changes, you don't know.
Any other questions? I'm turning the page here unless somebody else.
Gas is a huge one to predict, too. It's way up this year. Some of that will be back in the grant money, because we do bill for, and in like, some of the details that we do, we bill back to mileage, so that'll show up in the, hopefully in the revenue side also.
I just noticed that PD training and PD vehicles, it's listed as being on page 4, it's on page 3.
Skip over it. You got a different,
It's on your thing.
Oh, you have my copy.
you have his copy.
Okay.
Yeah, I ran mine from Excel, I'm sorry.
No worries. Just want to make sure everyone knew
Yeah,
where it
well,
was.
Communications, is that dispatching or is, no?
That's been kicked down the road again. I mean, it comes up and then you don't hear anything about it, so it's hard. Again, we're planning for 25. I don't know what 25 is gonna bring. They may come back tomorrow with some new.
Is that the line item though?
That is the line item, and that,
Okay.
but that covers everything to do with the Vibers costs, the state email costs, everything associated with our crime network system is in that line item.
Well, it's a safe bet that the legislature's gonna do something. And if they do it this year, we're not gonna have to deal with it until next year, so, okay. Famous last word.
I mean, this, I've been hearing this for, at one point we thought it was gonna go, and then you're back to where we were 10 years ago. It's just that you get here and then everything goes back. Depends on, I guess, who's in charge and where they think they're gonna run it. Staffing levels too, drive it. If the state can stay maintained, I don't think the urgency is there to push that back. But again, Jim can tell you the same thing. They're talking about it. It's just not beating the drum like they were 8 months ago or 9 months ago.
Okay.
They saw some real numbers, I think it scared them too.
Yeah.
I'm in police training, if anybody,
These numbers have pretty much stayed across the board for years. Seem to stay within that.
operating supplies would be, is that training shells and?
Well, yes, we usually buy ammunition out of that, we buy targets out of that, or any training props, or any training manuals, or any training stuff we would need. And the dues and meetings covers, the academy charges for, if they're not your initial class, they charge for, so that covers other class fees and courses.
Okay.
And that varies depending on what mandates come on. The highlights, like I said, were gas, repairs and maintenance were up a little bit.
And that's vehicles and equipment?
Yeah, those two line items, basically, they're tires, just repairs. We had a lot of repairs this year. Some of the cars are getting older.
Which brings me to a question I have, how is our car sold now?
Well, I mean, we still have that one that we bought 9 months ago that we don't have equipment.
Oh, really, that's still.
It's still not come online, so it's hard to me go back and say, oh, yeah, we got our car, when the one I bought 9 months ago still waiting to go out. At one point, waiting for a recall, and it was waiting months for equipment, now we're waiting on a wiring harness to hook the lights to the back, and we're trying to do it ourselves, so we're not paying $100 an hour to have an outfitter come in.
Gotcha.
You could be at $2,000 just to wire the car, so we're trying to get everything in, so if we do need to have them come in where they just plug and play, and we have a couple hours in it versus.
Right.
So, like I said, cars is tough for me. Like I said, it would be nice to cycle another one out. Yes, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that when I still have the last one you bought me not on the line yet. So, our goal is once that was on, we're gonna move 2 out. That's kind of the 2 that are aging. We've been trying to run the miles up on those and then get rid of them.
Questions? I'm going, if not, I'm going to vehicles, anything in the police department, we're going to constables if not. Is constables on our deal tonight?
That's
No, okay. Okay. Well, let's get after the fire department then. any highlights you wanna,
Probably not as we go along. I got a couple of comments as we go along. but
okay.
You can entertain questions as we go.
Salary is a very big guess.
Yeah, it's based on the historical average and estimated minimum wage increases, which actually this year came out, I think it was, 3.6 something? And I'd estimated 4 and 3 for the following half of the year, so.
Alright.
We do average about 100 runs a year, plus or minus, we're up to 92 or 93 so far this year. So,
I think you're gonna beat your average.
yeah, some years we do.
Let's hope you don't. I'm plowing through, I'm on page 5. Fire department, communications. Nothing's really.
Yeah, under communications, Joe zeroed out my machinery and equipment. And I'd like to put that back in. Got another suggestion further down the budget to compensate for that.
I'm just looking up. So that's all under machinery, equipment, all the pagers and
That's
chargers.
radio hardware, yes.
Yeah. You're gonna give us an idea where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can save money?
absolutely.
Everybody all right?
With restoring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, no, okay.
Jim, was it 3,025?
Yeah.
Yes.
We were very generous the first way through this budget. I can't believe it. We're just like Santa Claus.
What, there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot to begin with.
That's not fair.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, Glenn's not here, yeah, there you
Well,
go.
that's true, Glenn's not here. You picked a good name.
The Grinch. That's not fair. He's actually increased everything we've talked about so far this year anyway, so.
With great reluctance.
With great reluctance, yes, exactly. All right, so we've restored that. We're at fire department equipment.
And in that line item under 83, we can take out the $11,000 for the thermal imaging camera because we were very fortuitous a month ago or so. We had a dealer who rides with Pulteney Fire, deals for New York Fire Equipment, that turned us on to a sale. And we were able to purchase 2 thermal imaging cameras with 2 truck chargers for less than $10,000. So I ran it by Joe and said, strike while the iron is hot. When you get a deal like that, you do it. And we now have 2 brand
Where-
new FLIRs.
Where did that money come from?
It would come out of the same line item.
From this year?
Because, right, because
Oh, okay.
if you look historically on that line item, last
Yeah.
year, we spent squat. We did put in a substantial order in March for hose, which was delivered in September, so therefore that'll come out of this year. So we added a big chunk of money to fund balance last year. Well, we have a chance to save money overall. We take a little chunk out of the fund balance to cover that, but you end up saving money in the long run.
Okay, so,
Because instead of spending 22,000 plus truck chargers, we spent less than 10 and everything is done. So
okay,
you can
so
pull that 11 out.
take 11 out of machinery and equipment?
So that would bring it down to 8,000.
Yep.
I like that. Thank you.
That was a good trade, wasn't it?
Okay. So you can have your pagers.
There you go. And eat them too.
I need,
One thing I do want to mention, going forward, is the reserve account. I see the reserve account right now is zeroed out.
everything in
Everything's
it,
zeroed out. Last few years, you put 7,500 in the reserve account. $75,000 would be more realistic. We right now have, we have three interior members that we're buying turnout gear for at $4,300 a set. So there's almost $13,000 in gear. That's almost 2 years of reserve fund gone right there.
At
We have-
75.
At 7,500. We have a pumper tanker that has a frame that is beginning to delaminate. We may be able to beg, borrow, and get it inspected for another year, but we're not guaranteeing anything. We have been dealing with a vendor who brought a guy in from Alexis Fire Equipment and took a look at that rig and determined that it is a prime candidate for a refurb because the body is in great shape. So we have a proposal to re-chassis that body on a Freightliner chassis, going with a 2-door cab instead of a 4-door cab. With a little bit of upgrading as far as capability, but basically working around the footprint we have. And that would come in at around $475,000. We also have in parallel working up costs on a new rig. And my estimate would be probably between $750 and $850. And a new rig, you are looking at 24 to 36 months delivery. The refurb is 240 days. Because that's the one problem. The other problem we're looking at taking care of in combination with that is our brush truck, which very few people can drive because it's a standard. And youngins can't drive standards. So what we would look to do is re-chassis that with a crew cab and use that as our manpower unit, because if it's going out of town, both trucks are going out. My ETA is basically a water supply unit, and 2 guys on a truck can lay a line, drop a porta tank, and set up water supplies. If it's going mutual aid, that's what it generally does. If it calls for manpower, we would have the 4-door cab as a manpower unit to send crew with it. And that's the way we look at transitioning our operation.
Both pieces of apparatus are mid-90s vintage. One's
Right.
a 95, one's a 96.
Right.
So, and the other piece of apparatus is a 2011.
Yep.
The new truck.
The new truck.
The new, right. Just like the new road.
Yeah.
Right. No.
So,
But I don't know how we want to proceed with this, because again, there's a certain amount of time crunch involved here, because we're going to be down a piece. It's a matter of how long. And I don't know if we can do a bid process, because I don't know that many vendors that will do refurb, as opposed to writing a spec for a new piece and blasting it out like we did with the last one.
Can you put that on paper? That's a lot of information. And
Yeah, I can send you a copy of the draft proposal.
Yeah, the whole thing, I mean, what you wanna do
Got it right in my
and when
phone,
you,
I can show you what he's looking at building.
yeah, and you know, what you wanna do and what the time frame is. I mean,
Right.
I assume you're not expecting to do all of it this budget season, or are you?
We'll see what Dan has to say when he inspects the truck. What?
Where's Joe Bird when you need him?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
But, you know, by going that route, you're basically getting another 20 years worth of truck for half the price of the new one.
I get that part's good.
Yep, yep.
But needless to say, you know, sticker shock again.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the rate of inflation on fire apparatus over the last 3 or 4 years has been astronomical. I mean, the ER was $470,000. Buy that truck today, it's gonna cost $2 million. It's a crunch. But it's a
Well,
public safety issue, so.
How would that work with a bid process as far as a refurbish? I mean, if there's nobody out there, a bit of competition,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know one other vendor that
is that allowable with the state? And No, it's all legal.
Well, it's us, it's our, it's our policy to get, and obviously, when you're spending that kind of money, you wanna get, you wanna play, yeah, so. If it's possible to do some research and at least make that effort.
Would
because
that be allowable if you did 2 bids or 3 bids on a new truck and 1 on a refurb and you all put it in this?
It might come to that. I'd rather it was
Well,
straight
yeah,
up.
I mean, if
you
you
know,
had,
but-
your new apparatus is gonna be in a price range, and it's all gonna be within that price range. And that price range is up here, and your refurb price range is down here. That's kind of a no-brainer, which way you're gonna go with it.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But that's big money for us.
oh, yeah.
And we
Yeah.
know that, and we
Trying to
know
make
that.
you aware of it, because it's,
Well, you gotta tell us what you gotta tell us, and that's fine. We gotta figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah. So it boils back to where Chief is talking, at $7,500 a year,
Right.
you're never gonna be able to
100
fund
years.
that.
100 years.
So,
7,500 is not anything anymore.
no.
Only
So-
just up their apparatus fund from 100 to 125 or 150 a year. And they're cycling trucks on a regular basis now.
Yes.
Does it, and this is for Chief, does it make sense to put money away for equipment? To buy equipment, or would it be just prudent to not put money away and just bond out? Because at the end of the day, we're still gonna have to find a loan to pay for it.
Right, I mean, I think at that point, you know, if you
You
get
know
an
what I'm
idea what your price range is gonna be, you know, that's a good job for the town managers to go out and try and finance it. Exactly.
Yeah, well,
We were fortunate when we bought 22, because we had the Obama money, the economic stimulus money, and we got a good package on that. We got with a partial grant and then like a 0 interest loan for the rest of it, and then we put like 1/3 of the money out of the reserve up on it. So that worked out well, but yeah, it's something you're gonna have to look at, obviously, have to finance it.
Yeah.
Because you don't, you know, you've got 200 some thousand sitting in the reserve, and that's all you got.
Yeah, 250.
Yeah.
It's not enough to buy a new truck.
Now, you may be able to do something with your brush truck out of that.
Is there any, state funds available to help us out with something like this in the fire apparatus?
I don't know, Mr. Greeno, I've never had to look into it.
Your homework tonight.
Yeah.
We can ask that grant writer from Rutland.
Yeah. He's probably not got anything to do right now.
I mean, we need to scrounge at any corner that we can get. Whatever you know, let us know, or look yourself. We need to, you know, whatever we can do to mitigate the cost of this, because it's a big number.
Yep.
We all know that, and nobody's totally surprised by that, but there will be people that will be surprised by that. You know, they're still looking at.
It seems though there should be some help for the small towns somewhere in the world of science.
Well, you know, with AFG grants, because we're floating, got 2 of them out floating now for replacing our air packs, and they're still floating out there in limbo. But they do an apparatus section, but it's tough. It's very competitive. And like Castleton got a tanker out of it, but Castleton was also shot up to the top of the charts because they were running an old oil truck. And there's nothing more unsafe than an old oil truck hauling water. And the idea was to get those rigs off the road. So they scored very high on that. But it's very tough, it's very competitive, because there are some rural departments that are still running Army surplus equipment, and, you know, they look kindly on giving them a nice shiny new rig.
Let's see if Sam's got an oil truck he wants to
Right,
sell.
right.
I'm being flip, but I know,
Yeah,
we need to find any funding source we can get, and we need to make it as palatable as we can too.
Mhm.
So, as you well know, I mean, we're not gonna short you, but we gotta figure out how to not short you.
right, and you say everything that we've gone through this, you know, whenever you make a move like this, just like we did with the ER, you put as much functionality as you can. You don't put flash into it, you put functionality into it. And I've only found like 2 or 3 things that I'd have done differently with that truck, and that took us 5 years to design it. So, you know, we did fairly well on that project. But this one, we're modifying our dump, going to a 10-inch square dump, which dumps quicker. Plumbing it for a deluge gun because of lack of manpower. And like we'll take the lighting system off of this truck and put it on the new truck, because there's about probably $8,000 worth of emergency lighting on that truck that's perfectly fine. So that's included in the project. We're, you know, looking to cut as many corners as we can, but still get as much functionality as we can at the same time. Where we can save money, we're looking to save money.
I think there's 2 issues at hand. The first is how do we fund this project? It sounds like it's gonna be rapidly approaching. But then how do we land on a number that we wanna set aside for future needs appropriately? So we're not having the discussion of, oh no, if we have to replace this rig next year, what do we do?
Right, and that's the problem. They run through reserve accounts are awfully easy to cut
Yeah.
because it doesn't have any immediate harm,
Mhm.
but over time, you end up in this situation.
And part of that problem is you think you're putting a lot of money in a reserve fund, but inflation's
Absolutely.
beating you up.
Mhm.
So you got no money there
Yeah,
when you
because
need
I mean,
it.
even historically back, you know, 10, 15 years ago, we were putting 25, 30,000 aside in the reserve, and somehow it slipped way down too low. And now we're,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
what happened I think what we did was we bought the big truck and the new truck, and we felt, well, we're good. And we felt if there was a place we could cut, there was a place to cut. And we were trying to make budgets pass. So that's what we did, but I mean, it's always, we know you're shooting yourself in the foot, we know that, but
in
it's
the long
also.
run, it's not doing you any
Yeah.
good. Especially with interest rates going up.
Hmm.
Now, if you catch interest rates coming back down by the time the project comes around, we'll save yourselves money.
Well, there's an article in the Times today that apparently interest rates are probably going to stay where they are. They're not going to raise them anymore.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
in the short term anyway, and hopefully in the long term, they'll start dropping a little bit. We'll have to see the numbers.
All right, so we've got to come up with something when we get to that point. That's not on tonight's discussion, is it? No.
And I will
So-
send you that proposal.
Yeah, please do, so we can, I just need to look at
So you
it,
can take a look at it and see what we're talking about.
and then,
Because I do know one thing is the new chassis that they're specing is a Freightliner. And we're limited to 360 horsepower because above that, you go to the next class of chassis and our overall height is too high. We don't have room to put in the house. So once again, old firehouse, new fire trucks, sometimes a tight fit.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's something that would apply across the board no matter what you do. So,
So, the only other thing that is vaguely in here is the forest fire warden, which hasn't changed, well, it has changed, now to 500.
yeah, there's the impetus for that, there's a 50/50 grant program the state runs that Forest and Parks run. You can get forest firefighting equipment for 50 cents on the dollar. We do have a portable pump that's plumbed on a brush truck that is probably gonna need to be replaced at some point, so I wanna get that up there and maybe possibly get something through that 50% program. So that's is money that you can leverage.
500 we can come up with. Or 300 extra for the year. Any questions for Chief?
I was actually just curious, Chief. Assuming that we can actually pass inspections, what do you think the remaining life on the equipment is right now?
Well, that frame is the big issue.
If it passes inspection one more year, we're gonna be lucky,
Right,
by the sounds
Right.
of what you're telling us.
yeah, because we're dealing with Dan Reed, and he's a former firefighter, so, I mean, you know, Danny's not gonna shoot us in the foot if he doesn't have to. There isn't, I say there's an outfit, there's one other vendor I know of that's local, that's fairly local, they're New England based, that, does a refurb, actually, their main shop is in Nescomine, Pennsylvania, the old KME shop that 22 was built in. And I did see in one of their things that they may be able to do a frame rail replacement, I don't know. But, you know, again, you're talking about a 96 truck, and
Yeah.
the idea of rechassing is probably better in the long term. But we can have them take a look at it too.
And as comparison, Castleton has a truck, same vintage, that has been grounded for over a year due to frame issues. It's a frame issue with the International Truck Chassis in that vintage, so, you know, we're,
Yeah, it's not a unique problem.
Well,
They're actually
So
replacing theirs
yeah,
with a.
so we're not
They're
far away.
replacing that truck and they're replacing their ladder with a second-hand tower, Quint tower ladder that, keep getting pushed back on because the department they're buying it from is waiting, their new truck keeps getting pushed back. So now it's like December or January that they're looking to take delivery on that, which would be great, have a second tower around here. But again, they're been down an engine for over a year.
I just got a quick question. What comes to mind is, in the big cities, they replace these trucks very, very often, I assume. What's the chances of picking up used equipment? Is there anything there at all that could happen? I mean,
The problem is, something that's set up for a rural operation doesn't play well in a rural, or in an urban operation doesn't play well in a rural
Okay.
operation. And also, those trucks are generally beat. They are hammered.
That's what I'm asking.
Because they're hauling, an urban truck is hauling less water, because they're hydrant dependent. We have to operate as a hybrid, because in the villages, basically, we operate as an urban department, but in the outlying area and our mutual aid area, we operate as a rural department, we've got to haul our own water. And setting up a truck to do one and setting up a truck to do the other are kind of mutually exclusive to a certain degree. You know, you can do one really well, you can do the other really well, or you can do them both so-so.
Not so good. Yeah.
Right.
and for what I've seen on the used truck market, first challenge is fitting it in our overhead doors.
Yep.
Back to the chassis thing. But you're still looking, even if you found something that was comparable, you're looking 250, 300 for something maybe early 2000s vintage. You're gaining maybe 4 years. Whereas this option of rechassing, rebuilding the pump, new tank, you know, so it's hard to find the right fit for that.
And this is the two is actually easier, because this is a pretty straightforward pumper tank. So design-wise, it's pretty easy, but the body, as he said, the body is in excellent shape. It's an aluminum body, and it's well-maintained, and it would, you have no issues with corrosion, so to speak, on the body, it's just that chassis.
So cabin chassis, you're good to go.
Yep,
Cabin
Yep.
chassis, new tank,
yeah,
while you got it apart, completely replace all the seals in the pump, you know.
yeah, there's some like piping changes, I'll take some of the Victolic, or the black iron pipe and replace it with stainless. Put MIV valves on the intakes, which you can control from the pump panel. They'll put a pressure governor in it, so it'll be run the same way as the truck we have. The computer runs the truck rather than having to run it manually, because when you go from one to the other, we see people get confused.
Small things to make them mirror each other for, you know, we all have less and less time. So training and
Simple.
trying to make things as simple and cross-functional
Yeah.
between the two trucks.
So with 22, you put the pump gear, and all you gotta do is hit a preset, and it comes up to 150 pounds pressure, and all but one line that'll handle. And the one line, you gotta back up to the line on the gauge, which is 80, like the one with the smoothbore nozzle, you gotta run at less pressure. Other than that, you're gonna be in the ballpark with every pre-connect on the truck. So you make it functionally easy. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't have to remember a lot of formulas.
Other questions? Well, thanks for all the good news.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks.
Enjoy.
We will have another discussion, I'm sure. Hopefully not too soon. Alright. The only other thing is animal control for tonight, which is on page 6. The zeroed out operating supplies, that would include stuff they have, they don't need anything different.
There was no use, so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, nothing that I can think of that they need.
Questions?
Are we still having a rabies clinic? I thought that was gonna be, last year was the last year of it, or are we still having that?
I
I think
never,
that's the town clerk usually puts that part of it on. The town clerk usually puts that part of it on.
Oh, okay.
So that'd be a question for me to ask Annie.
I hadn't heard that.
I think she did say it's hard to find vets to come and do it now.
Oh,
I thought-
well,
I thought
let's
last year
get
was
that,
supposed to have been the last year, or that was a rumor.
okay, well, let's find out,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I
Because
bring it
that's,
up.
I mean, we need to fund something we're not going to have. Okay, that's it for tonight, for budget.
You need this back, Joe, I actually scribbled on it a little bit.
No, sir, that one's yours. I put some notes in here and,
This doesn't include tonight's. Did you have a percentage number or where we are?
when we walked in the door today, so I'm gonna give you two numbers. The budget that the town controls, the 010 and the 030, the highway and general fund we're at 5.98% increase. When you lump appropriations into that, it's at a 2.29% increase. That's because we haven't seen, appropriations are a big lump of money and they haven't really changed. We will see a little bit of that go up.
Okay.
A couple folks.
It's not horrible, but there's some big numbers to come, for sure. Okay, anything in the parking lot anybody wants to mention? I'd like to say we're on the zoning regulation on the downhill slide of that, which makes me very happy.
Are we still waiting on the permit for the transfer station? That is, the state loves to wait. Okay.
And that, honestly, that makes people upset when they can't drop their garbage over their big demo over on the pad. So, yeah, we're still waiting on the state.
What is there any explanation of why it takes so long?
No, but it's just the state.
That doesn't sound, it just doesn't sound right to me.
Have we seen a decrease in utilization since the loss of that use?
I can't say, I haven't run the numbers.
Okay. I'm just curious how much waiting on the state has cost us.
Well, it's actually a really good question, because the break even is being able to, I think that we make or break even on that all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I'm sure it's down, because there's a lot of contractors that aren't going there.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a lot of them, so it's gotta be down.
Yeah.
This has to be.
Good question.
How much?
What department or what agency in the state?
A&R, Natural Resources.
Interesting, okay.
Explains a lot. Roundtable. Rich?
I don't have anything.
Couple things for me. First thing is, I was approached by a number of people at the Santa event, and with this issue. Apparently there have been a number of incidents recently where there's been vandalism in the park. Apparently the Christmas decorations have already been torn down and all of that. And it seemed that the consensus was that we'd pass an ordinance that would prohibit any presence in the park after a certain point, about 6 p.m. People mentioned. I was just wondering if any of you had any thoughts on that, or whether it's been brought up before, and Chief, whether you think it would help anything.
Well, it'd definitely be easier if you weren't in the park at a certain time
Right.
versus, because it's always been a gray area of passing through versus hanging out.
Right.
Trying to decide if they're passing through, they're hanging out.
Right.
It is left wide open.
Sure.
I don't know if the ordinance would pass. Would it be challenged? I don't know.
I'm a little leery of that.
I don't think it would work, to be honest with you. I mean, the concerts last longer than 6 o'clock in the evening. They don't start till 7.
Well, now it's actually, the ordinance currently is, I think it's after 9 or 10, I think it's 9 o'clock. You can pass through the walkways of the park if you're going point A to point B. So it's 9, I think it's 9 p.m. And the ordinance includes, you can't sit on the fence, there's a bunch of things in the ordinance currently.
Well, I can understand sitting on a fence. I mean, they shouldn't do that. Do you think once these lights are up and running, that'll help the situation a little bit? Or not?
I think there'd be more visibility.
So if they can't hide in there in the darkness, they're not gonna...
I mean, the other problem is we're not a 24-hour department, and we can't be there every night. So
True.
it's hard, and we're down full-time guys. So whenever we go off duty, it's free run until we come back. We try to jockey our schedules around to be more visible, but there's always going to be, and again, even if take that out of it, if we're on a call, we're tied up on an arrest for 3 hours, there's nobody here.
True.
So that whole area is free run for anywhere in town if the officer's tied up on calls.
I mean, that happens a lot.
So I don't know what the solution is to the problem.
I just don't think you can shut everything down totally for 90% of the people that wanna enjoy themselves in life.
I mean,
For a few.
at least a little later, I think maybe later than the 6 or something like that. People hang out, especially in the summertime, people hang out in the park till it's dark. I mean, there are people that come and they should have the right to be in a public space.
You know, we
but-
try to improve the place, more picnic tables, more benches, so people can come and enjoy themselves. And then we tell them, well, they can't be there, you know?
I think the lighting is nice, but I think it's gonna be more inviting to hang out there in the evening hours.
Well, and it should be.
And that
but
may
then
be a good thing, because you have good people hanging out.
that's just what I was gonna say. Maybe you get some people that are, peer pressure kind of thing. We do have an ordinance at 9 o'clock now.
Yeah, you can pass through on the walkways.
What about a neighborhood watch type thing?
It's,
If we can,
oh, go ahead.
if we could get some volunteers. I know that in Rutland, there's actually an organization, where they've got people patrolling neighborhoods.
We had various iterations of that, and it's like everything else. You get a lot of enthusiasm to begin with, and then when people realize that it's all the time, and people
work.
start petering out.
Yeah, again, the problem with that is, like Bill says, you can't be everywhere every second.
Right.
And I'll take a ride in the evening, I'll go to the store late, 9, 10 o'clock. I'll ride down to the playground and around. And like I said, you never see anybody, I don't see anybody, but 5 minutes after I'm gone, they can be down there breaking the windows,
The other thing,
right? I mean,
I know, at least with our neighborhood up on South Side, on Cedar Street, it- as far as I'm concerned, it's like the best neighborhood anywhere ever, because we all take care of each other. We all keep an eye on each other's homes and properties. You know, somebody's dog gets loose, the whole neighborhood is out trying to help to get to corral it. But I mean, myself, I've put a call in to people, years ago, before it was GMP, it was CV. He had people coming around doing the meters, but they were in an unlabeled vehicle, a plain white minivan. And it's like, what is going on? Because he's going around and looking at, and I called and it turned out it was CV, they had subcontracted. I said, well, you know what, maybe you should put some, you know, labeling. But my point is, knock on wood, we don't seem to have quite as much vandalism, violence. And maybe I'm wrong.
well, the
But-
park is a draw, it's a, you know, it, people hang out there. They always have. And, there has to be some sort of, see, I worry about a neighborhood watch kind of thing, because there's a whole set of liability things, and then, you know, who's capable and how far do you go in that kind of a situation. I wouldn't be in favor of a neighborhood watch, but I don't know. I mean, I think the lights will help. I really do. And, you know, maybe we just, when you know, there's some sort of, you know, in your case, Bill, you're obviously shorthanded and you've got a lot of places to cover. But if we walk through the park once in a while, you know, who knows? And ride the bike through the park.
Well, Joe, once the lights are in, is there any way we could perhaps put a camera or two on them or something like that? So maybe something, because I mean, I know there's no solution to this, and I realize, Rich, you're absolutely right, that nobody should be kept out of, you know, their town park by this, but at the same time, it just seems to be a recurrent issue, and
it's drastic.
I think cameras would help a lot, and I think we're pursuing that idea, right?
Yes, sir. I actually, so I did walk in and showed the camera company where the poles were going. And they can give us, they're gonna give me a quote, but there's a solution for it. So once the poles are up, we'll be able to put cameras in. I did get a couple of emails about that too, because people are concerned. It's been kind of tough lately.
Yeah.
And my response to them was maybe just one step at a time. We'll put in the lights, put in the cameras, and see what happens. And then if it's still so bad, maybe then an ordinance. But
Yeah.
I would hate to see this pendulum swing way over here where we're so oppressive that people can't spend time in the park.
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna see that either.
Cameras already seem extreme to me, but what do you do?
Well, I think the conversation in a lot of towns, and it sounds like, you know, we're kind of in that direction as well, is focused on catching the people who are vandalizing. And if we really want to focus on stopping vandalism, we have to think about what kind of outlets are in place. You know, I think it's our working theory that it's a group of teenagers, maybe older teens, middle teens, whatever it might be, right? I think Pulteney has similar experience. I know Rutland has similar experience. And the conversation in those two towns in particular that I'm aware of is what outlet can we give to these kids? And it's not the same outlet as the typical child within that demographic. But what's really going to draw those kids into participating in a way that's healthy rather than trying to engage in vandalism or theft or whatever it might be? I think there's some room to grow some sort of project with potentially the rec committee or the Boys and Girls Club in town, and really focus on how do we end vandalism, or at least stop it before it starts when we can, rather than solely focusing on catching the people doing it. Because you get caught legally, you'll get a slap on the hand
Right.
and
Just gonna say
do
that.
it again. So, just some thoughts.
Yeah, catching is not the answer. The answer is afterward, the problem.
Alternatives.
The other issue was, and I've already been warned not to believe or really pay attention to what goes online, but I will say I was struck by a feed that was going on about our decision to give a credit for the water and sewer after the main break. Most of the complaints seemed to be that we were not giving them enough. Some of them went beyond that, saying that they felt that we should pay them for their trouble and buy them bottled water and basically compensate them for their perceived losses. And I was really struck by that because I thought that compared to what is typical when you're dealing with water main breaks, I thought we were pretty generous. I can tell you, after living in multiple municipalities in Florida for many years, where water main breaks are quite common, I don't remember a single time when I got anything from the utility company. And some of those, our crew worked very hard to get it back online very quickly. I've dealt with water main losses that have cut off the water for 3, 4, 5 days, and especially during hurricane season as well, when it can go down for God knows how long, and never got a thing. So I think that I'm really that saddens me a little bit.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Very true.
Well, I think it was a good thing that we did it, and I think a lot of people appreciated it. Probably more people appreciated it than the ones that are complaining.
It's generally the case, but
But it's something, and it's not a lot of money either way.
it's already done.
Bingo.
And I think we did the right thing, and I'm glad we did it, and we're not gonna compensate people for everything.
Oh, yeah, right.
Every bit
No,
of
I
their
think we did a fine job with this. That's all I have.
Okay.
Next meeting, just a thought. Can we add something to the agenda? I'd like to, gather some information from the local schools, but acknowledge some accomplishments that happen post-fall, and then when we have post-winter and then post-spring, kind of recognize youth accomplishments within our school system on a formal kind of.
Yeah, I brought that up like the first or second meeting where I was here, that we should begin, and that, it's not expensive, and I think that it does a lot for PR, and also gives them the recognition they deserve. So, I was thinking maybe either giving a certificate, something like that, or inviting them to the meeting where you give them the certificate there, something like that. I think that would be that would be I think that would be very helpful.
Why? Does it?
The only thing I got, somebody called me today and said on West Street, there's a branch around 19 West Street. There's a branch that looks like it's ready to come down, a big leader.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I don't, so, you know of it? Okay. He thought it was looking like it was going,
Yeah, that's a big guy too.
yeah.
That whole tree needs to come
There's
down.
also one on Prospect Street, if anybody's, they've been driving under it for 6 months. But there is a real bad hanger up in there. It's lodged to the point where I don't think it's gonna come down. Well, we could get a real strong wind
Do you know the address for Prospect?
and, where Prospect and Grove, it's at that intersection. It's where the house burnt, last spring.
Yeah, I can send out more reminders to let people know.
Yeah,
Dave.
I mean, it's a
23
bucket truck
across
deal.
there, right, 23. Apartments are 19, should be 21 or 23. I think.
Yeah, somewhere there. But it's
You
been
know,
there a long time.
I'll just take a run down and take a look. Yeah, I'll send some love letters
It's
asking.
very
people to
high
take
up
it.
in the, very high up in the area.
I was gonna say maybe we should give the first award of recognition to our town manager for his extraordinary service on Saturday. I was pretty impressed.
Thanks, Jason, I appreciate it. Those are the highlights of my job. I love doing stuff like that.
I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures. I completely spaced. I don't want that going down.
Missed it
You could've
because
sat
I
outside
went
and
to
left.
church.
You wanna do financials?
Oh,
I don't think Santa would have survived.
Thanks, chief.
Thank you, have a good night.
Good night.
Make a motion to approve the payroll warrant of $35,871.51.
Second.
I second.
Take your pick. All those in favor?
Right.
Those opposed?
Make a motion to approve general warrant of $69,134.60.
Second.
That includes medical benefits, NEMRIC training, and fire equipment as the larger items on that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And checkbook status for you, chief?
Yes. Current checkbook status is $1,562,724.73.
Do you suppose out of that $1 million you could get a new folder? Are you gonna hold up on it? Or some duct tape?
I said this already.
There's what Jason said, can't we afford something better?
Or something, maybe stronger duct tape?
I remember you gave me the paperwork once in a manila folder that had already had 2 previous like designations crossed out.
It's not in the budget, but
Yeah, I know.
Has that folder in the budget?
The,
I think there's a lot more money left in that thing.
well, you know, I'm a big fan of duct tape, so.
I'd take mine.
and bubble gum.
I'll take them.
Well, the price,
WD-40.
well, with prices going up, the duct tape's probably more expensive than just buying some folders.
Yeah, at this time, you're probably right.
Make a motion to go into executive session for discussion regarding legal matters.
Is there a second?
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.